Tomorrow marks the 80th anniversary of the beginning of the Nuremberg trials, a key moment in the history of international law when the victorious Allies rejected calls for swift and summary justice and instead tried the Nazi high command, including Hitler's number 2 Hermann Goering, for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Tom Blackmore is the grandson of Sir David Maxwell Fyfe, a human rights lawyer who was celebrated for his cross-examination of Goering at Nuremberg and who later served as Home Secretary in Churchill's post-war government. He's played by Richard E. Grant in the new Hollywood film called Nuremberg. And I wonder, at what point did you realise that your grandfather played such a key role in that?
He died when I was 7. And it wasn't widely discussed. My grandmother, I was devoted to, her only story was being winked at by Albert Speer, and she was in court watching. In 1998, Anne Overy got in touch with us and said, look, we've got a lot of boxes of your grandfather's private letters. That was a great surprise. And the most precious thing in there were the letters exchanged between them during the trials, where they wrote love letters to each other 2 or 3 times a week. But he took the opportunity of telling his side of the story, so that was the record he kept to the trials.
Fascinating, his descriptions of Goering.
It was. The descriptions of Goering suggested both the proximity of the trial, how close they all were as human beings, and measure of informality in relation to the way he was described and thought about.
The fat boy, he described him, didn't he? And he was clearly proud of his cross-examination of him.
Yes. I mean, the cross-examination of Goering, he wasn't the principal cross-examiner. He came in on the back of Jackson, the American prosecutor, and his approach was radically different from the American approach. The British prosecution team treated it as a criminal trial and therefore treated them as criminals and murderers. And in that way, I think, got an impact, which the Americans weren't able to do with Goering.
And you say the letters, perhaps understandably, are very close up, show literally how close he was to the defendants. But did they take a step back and reflect on the importance of the trial and the moment?
Yes, they did. The prosecution team, and I think the whole Nuremberg project was fused with a degree of idealism about the restoration of natural justice after a period of barbarism and war. And I think that at Nuremberg, they really cared about it, and they believed in their intent and what they were doing. Legacy is interesting. In December 1947, Maxwell Fyfe, about a year after the trials, said, mankind is at a crossroads that leads either to sanity or destruction. In one sense, Nuremberg did express a triumph for the human spirit, to the extent to which it stated what humanity could not tolerate, and more gropingly some things for which humanity stands. Yet I am haunted by some words from a song that we used to listen in more carefree days. You make promises and simply you forget them. Having propounded high ideals in defeated Germany, I feel the responsibility for doing my part to see that they are not forgotten by the victors. Maxwell Fyfe went on from prosecution and spent 4 years drafting and championing the European Convention on Human Rights. And that was all one story for him.